something that I value and I try to express to my team is appreciation. Thank you for what you've done. We appreciate your work. We appreciate your effort. I just think I've noticed it to be very discouraging in the past from my experiences, and plus other coworkers that I've had at the fire department, where you really put your effort and heart into a situation, and then you're just criticized or torn down because of the one mistake that was made when the other 99 things went well.
Welcome to the Accelerated Investor Podcast with Josh Cantwell. If you love entrepreneurship and investing in real estate, then you are in the right place. Josh is the CEO of Freeland Ventures Real Estate Private Equity and has personally invested in well over 500 properties all across the country. He's also made hundreds of private lender loans and owns over 1,000 units of apartments. Josh is an expert at raising private money for deals, and he prides himself on never having had a boss in his entire adult life. Josh and his team also mentor investors and entrepreneurs from all over the world. He doesn't dream about doing deals. He actually does them, and so do his listeners and students. Now sit back, listen, learn, and accelerate your business, your life, and your investing with the Accelerated Investor Podcast.
Hey, welcome back to Accelerated Investor. I'm so excited to be with you. I'm just really honored that you're with us today, whether you're at the gym, whether you're on a walk, whether you're out in the car, maybe driving out to an income property or going to meet with a private investor. I want to thank you for taking the time to be with us. And I'm so grateful and honored that we can be part of your journey as a real estate investor, as a family person trying to build a portfolio, take care of what's important to you, your financial freedom, your personal achievement, whatever that is and what's important to you. I'm excited to be part of that journey. Today, I'm with my good friend, Jack Petrick. Jack, what is going on? How are you today, bud?
Doing well, buddy. Yourself?
I'm doing awesome. I'm awesome. And Jack and I wanted to schedule this up. Jack's been on our podcast several times before. He's spoken on stages with me at my live events. I funded a number of Jack's deals. We're partners on a number of different apartment deals. And Jack and I are pretty tight friends. My son, Dominic, and Jack's now middle son, Cole, are really close friends. And my daughters, Juliana and Alessandra, are really tight with Jack's oldest daughter, Emma. New revelation, Jack just had a baby. Jack's wife just had a baby, Logan, who was born, Jack, about 3 weeks ago?
3 weeks ago, yeah. About 3 weeks and 1 day.
3 weeks and 1 day. So congratulations.
Thank you.
How is Logan doing? How's the family with the new addition?
He's doing really well. He's sleeping, eating, doing his thing, and he's been a really good baby. So it's been a long struggle, and been very blessed.
Yeah, no doubt. And we'll talk a little bit about that. What Jack and I were discussing before we turned on the microphones here and started recording, we were talking about balance. We were talking about, being a family man. We're talking about achieving our personal financial goals and, being men and pounding our chests and having egos where we want to kind of go out and kill what we eat and take care of our wife and kids. And at the same time, kind of balancing out what is it that our family wants? What does our wife want as far as connectivity and engagement with the family? And how are we making that all work? How are we balancing out our personal goals for achievement, for feeling like we're getting a pat on the back and our egos are getting stroked a little bit. And also at the same time, knowing that we're not just going to hustle our faces off working 60, 70, 80 hours a week to hopefully have financial freedom 10 years from now. When, Jack's been through a number of different challenges in his life. I've been through a number of different challenges, including cancer. And we know that we don't want to wait till we're 65 to lead our ultimate life. We want to leave that life today and have time, have freedom, have independence, have engagement and connectivity to our families and time to spend with them while we're also trying to achieve our, big, hairy goals that we've set out. So Jack, tell me a little bit about just the last 3 weeks. What has it been like with the new addition? You guys are probably sleeping less. You've got a new baby to take care of. There's new challenges. There's interruptions to your schedule. So, while you're building this, huge apartment portfolio, you guys also have your nurse practitioner business with your wife. Just how has it been the last 3 weeks? Is it total chaos, or are you managing okay?
It's obviously it's been really good, to be completely honest and transparent about that. I mean, part of it is, Logan's been an amazing baby, but the other part of it, the bigger part of it it's been a lot of years of building our team out and working with them, building them, mentoring them. And it's just really has allowed us to be able to obtain additional freedom, time freedom, not just financial, but time freedom. So I definitely have to say our team, having 8 players on our team and the time we've spent in developing them and mentoring them and the dedication that they have for us has just been an amazing part. And those puzzle pieces coming together.
Awesome. So let's do a little bit deeper dive on that, because if you think about, and for our audience, just to kind of set this up again, Jack's wife, Rachel, owns and runs a nurse practitioner business that she's in pretty much full time. They have a number of nurse practitioners that go visit assisted living facilities and nursing homes, and they own and run that business. Jack is a firefighter who's retired from the firehouse because of his pursuit for multifamily. And Jack, you now own how many units? Give me the latest update.
Yeah, so we're closing on 2 buildings actually one building's gonna be closing today, a 24 unit, and then 123 units. So by the time that wraps up this month, we'll be at about a little over 650 units.
So, okay, awesome. So somebody who's listening and thinks like, holy shit, he owns 650 units. He's probably really super busy. His wife owns a nurse practitioner business with nurse practitioners all over the city, meeting with patients and discharging people from, rehab facilities and physical nursing home type of thing. You guys are probably super busy, but then at the same time, you tell me, hey, the last 3 weeks has been awesome. Not only did we have a baby, but we have time to spend with them and we're not ripping our hair out. And that's because you built up your team. So Jack, what specifically would you say are the things that you did over maybe the last year to 5 years to kind of get to the point today where you don't have any hair left, but if you did have hair, that you wouldn't be pulling your hair out. So what are some specific actions that you took? You said you mentored your team. What did you actually do specifically to mentor your team and to build them up so you could have some of this time freedom?
Absolutely. So, I'll give credit where it's due. You definitely were a big part of that. And I remember from a lot of previous masterminds that we had and been to, of talking about A versus C players. And just growing up and bootstrapping the business, I didn't know any better from when we started from day one. I just did everything myself. And I would look at every action, every task that I could take on myself was saving money, when in fact it was at the cost of time. So I was looking at having a higher value on saving money versus saving time. So once I started seeing that and trying to make that transition, we brought a bunch of people on and made a bunch of mistakes, failed forward. I hear everybody say that, it's so hard to find people these days. And there's truth to that. But if we're easy, everybody would do it. So it wasn't easy. It was failing forward. It was hiring a lot of the wrong people. It was the wrong compensation. And oftentimes when we bring somebody on at a very lower end on the pay scale, typically they're costing us quadruple that in mistakes, errors, time loss, and just not having the progression in your business that you need. And I just had experience that firsthand for a long time before I saw really the value. And then once experience of having 8 players on the team.
So Jack, give me an example of like a position. Maybe it was an operations manager. Maybe it was a leasing agent. Maybe it was a construction manager. Maybe it was a contractor that was a C player, and kind of what you paid them. Again, it doesn't have to be exact or specific, but in a range, what did you pay them? And then what did they kind of screw up that cost money? And then now maybe you have an A player in that same seat, that same position, and roughly like what their comp looks like, or generally what that looks like. Sure. And what are they doing that's different, that makes things easier, so you can, again, have this balance that we're all pursuing.
Sure. So there's lots of examples in our business, from our NP business to our apartments, but just, I guess, to focus on the apartments, it would be easy to say like some that we would hire for turning over apartments, for doing repairs, for doing demo, at like entry grade level can be $10, $12 an hour with no tools or minimal tools. somebody that is looking for a position where we're looking to bring somebody in and try to mentor them. It's not that we're just trying to be cheap. We're trying to bring them in and give them the experience, give them the opportunity and build them up within the company, in lieu of bringing somebody in that has the tools, the experience, where babysitting isn't involved and required. That person might be running 17, 18, or north of $20 an hour. On the lower end of the scale, we've just experienced so many issues of delays, work not getting done, demoing out products and materials that were supposed to stay in the property. So now I remember I sent somebody down to demo a basement out, and it was waterproofed, and there was this paneling up for the waterproofing. They tore that out. Like it's irreparable without busting the concrete out and replacing it. So just when we look at what we pay somebody, it's not just the dollar per hour. It's what they're not getting done. It's what's getting messed up. It's what we can't move forward with and can't grow the business because we're constantly being held back and choked back.
In my newest real estate investing book, The Flip System, you'll learn the proven secrets and strategies that I've used to be a successful real estate investor. You'll also hear the story of my journey from quitting my job to doing over 2,000 units of apartments. The Flip System is now available for a limited time, and you can grab your free copy at getflipsystem.com/podcast. You'll learn the same proven principles and secrets and investing strategies that I used to quit my job and pursue a life of financial freedom. In this book, I'm sharing exactly how I was able to personally close over 750 profitable real estate deals, make over 400 private lender loans, raise over $30 million, and acquire over 2,000 units of cash flowing apartments. Get my newest book now for free at getflipsystem.com/podcast. That's getflipsystem.com/podcast. Got it. Now I know Aaron has been a key, person in your life
Yes.
as an assistant initially, kind of helping take care of your kids, helping around the house, and she's leveled up over the last several years to almost a chief operating officer, if you will. And she's really done an amazing job of kind of keeping things together. So just describe Erin and what she does, what her role is, and how she's kind of helped things kind of be the glue for your organization.
Absolutely. So Erin, just a quick background. She started off babysitting for us a couple days a week, and just had a lot of ambition. And we just saw that she was capable of so much more. So I initially offered for her to come in and start taking over on my real estate side. And we really had no plan of where that was going to lead to. Oftentimes bringing somebody in at more of like that assistant level, and then seeing what they're capable of and taking the initiative, taking the drive, taking over responsibility. We saw that out of her. So she came in, we offered her to add some additional hours. And initially she was pretty concerned, like, I have no idea what I'm doing. I got so much to learn. I'm like, it's fine. We'll just take it day by day. And now she runs an enormous part of our company. When we're closing these super complex, very involved, very detailed multifamily loans and refinances and onboarding all of our tenants into our software, like she just owns it and takes it and runs with it to the finish line. It's been an absolute blessing, and having people like Erin, Caleb, Stephanie, and we probably don't have time to name everybody, so I'm not trying to exclude anybody here, but these key members in our company have just been so critical to the growth of this company. I could not do it without them.
So is there anything specific that you did with Erin? Like, did you sit with her a certain amount of hours a week or a certain amount of hours a month and physically train her, mentor her, like demonstrate and show her how to upload things to the software, create videos for her? When you said mentoring your A players and helping people kind of level up their game and feel like they're part of the team, is there like a mentoring process that you use, or a certain strategy that you have, or a certain amount of time you spend with them to make it work?
Sure. And honestly, it's honestly a case by case basis. Everybody comes in at a different level. And for me, it's been, obviously training and discussions and mentoring in the one-on-one, but it's also being there in the time of need during their questions or challenges, showing up to job sites, seeing where they're at, offering suggestions, and it's just being involved. I think it's just a big part of it, because every day, every week presents a different challenge, a different opportunity. And in those specific circumstances, that just provides an opportunity to pass along. The other thing, though, I got to say is, like, I allow my team to make mistakes. Often there's this mindset of, like, I can't give up control because they won't do it as well as I do, and they're going to make a mistake. Well, mistakes are the only way that we learn. So I definitely try to catch the big mistakes that are going to have a big financial impact in our business. But in other ones, I want to give people the grace to be able to think on their own and be able to make that decision. Otherwise, if they have to come to me and every single decision that has to get made, that's not delegation. Right. When I was a firefighter, I worked under a lot of different lieutenants, a lot of different captains, and I saw a lot of different management styles, the advantages and disadvantages. And basically, I'm not saying that mine's perfect, because it's not, but I try to pick and choose from those different learning experiences of what I felt was a better way to run a business, but keep morale, to motivate individuals, to allow them to have that freedom to start making those decisions without getting punished when mistakes are made, because that's the only way that I learned myself.
Yeah. I found when a decision's made and they make a mistake, it's not maybe the same decision I would have made. And we think, well, wow, I would have never done that. It cost the company money. Simply asking the question of, help me understand, what were you thinking? Like, help me understand, what was your thought process when you made that decision? What was on your mind? What were you trying to accomplish, or what were you trying to avoid when you made that decision? And oftentimes they'll say, well, based on my experience or based on what I was trained on, I was trying to avoid this, because people are trying to usually do the right thing. They often make mistakes with the intention of they're trying to do the right thing, but they just, didn't have all the information, or maybe we're trained the wrong way. I often find it's my fault when someone else makes a mistake because I didn't train them the right way. They don't have all the information they need. Maybe the situation we've never, we've encountered it before. So if we just ask them that, it becomes an opportunity where they say, yeah, well, I was thinking about this. I was trying to avoid that, or I thought we could make more money by doing it this way. You realize that players always have the best intention. So it's not worth, killing them over, why did you do it this way? And you cost us this kind of money. Like, there's no learning in that. Once you know you have an A player on your team, the goal is to keep leveling them up, and mistakes are part of the learning process for sure.
And what you said there was an amazing point. One of the things that I've also have talked to my team members is, when they have a problem, what are 3 solutions for this problem? Is I really like them to engage and go deeper as to what are the solutions, and then typically one of those are typically going to be the right decision. But it's also starting to turn the thinking process of bringing solutions to the problems, not just what the problem presents itself to be.
Yeah. It's interesting when talking about mentoring adults. I was going through some training videos. I'm getting a certification to coach volleyball, right? Okay. My audience knows I love volleyball. It's my favorite sport, but it's also the sport I have the least amount of experience in. I played high school, baseball, football, basketball, played college football. And now here I'm at 43 years old, and all I want to do is coach volleyball. But what was interesting in the training videos, they were talking about, look, you don't want to be a kid's last coach, right?
Sure.
Because if a kid is playing, let's say, soccer or baseball or cheerleading or volleyball, and you're their last coach, that means they quit on your watch. It's the last experience they have is quitting because of an experience they had with you. Maybe it wasn't you, but maybe they weren't accepted by the other kids on the team. Maybe it wasn't directly your coaching, but maybe they were, striking out a lot, and maybe they had a chance to win a game and they missed the game-winning free throw. It could be the experience of being on the court or the field, or it could be the experience they had with the other kids. Maybe they didn't feel like they were accepted. They weren't part of the team. They weren't part of the crew. Maybe kids were mean to them. Maybe they didn't feel like, as a coach, you spent any time helping develop them. And I started thinking, this lesson about children, I started thinking, isn't it exactly the same as adults? So when you're a CEO, when you're a mentor, when you're a leader, and somebody quits, maybe they just totally get out of the position. They're like, I used to love being a leasing agent, but now I quit. This sucks. It's awful. It's probably, again, for those same reasons. They didn't feel like they were part of the team. They didn't feel like they were leveling up their learning. They weren't making any progress. They weren't making any more money. And it's no different really as a CEO than being a coach to little kids.
It's a good analogy.
You know? And I started thinking like, well, what can we do then to make sure that people always feel like they're part of the team, to make sure that people always feel like they're leveling up their progress? And really, those are the two things. If they feel like they're part of the team and they feel like they're making progress, then they feel like they're going to stick with that organization. So how do you do that? Some of the things that we do, right, is we have regular weekly meetings with our team, but to be part of the team, everybody on the team needs to know what the long-term vision is for the company, right? What are we trying to accomplish every year or on a long-term basis so we can break it down to a daily basis? That's number one. Number two is you got to do things within the organization to get your team to interact outside of work or outside of just the grind of work. It can be, having a lunch at the office where people are just not really necessarily just talking about work, talking about their lives. During meetings, talking about personal things as opposed to just jumping right into business. Simply asking people, how are you? How was your weekend? What did you do? Did you do anything fun? Right? As opposed to, hey, what are you doing for your week? What's your goals for business? Right? Those kind of things. And making sure you give your team an opportunity for them to spend time with each other so they feel like they're part of a greater team. I thought it was interesting also in this training video, Jack, and pass this along to you and our audience. It was interesting the way they talked about kids, boys versus girls, right? Okay. And I was blown away by this. I'd pass this along to you and our audience. What they said about boys and men is men will compete with their teammates in order to, right, go to battle as a team. Like they will battle against each other to bond together in order to win the game. So they say men battle to bond, right? Okay. Women bond to battle, right? So women on your team are, and I think, again, kids, like, aren't we the same now at 43 as we were when we were 7 years old or 10 years old, right? Girls, women bond to battle, meaning women want to be connected. They want to talk. They want to be engaged. They want to know that they have each other's backs. They want to know that they're part of a greater team. They bond in order to go to battle together, to win on the field or win in business. Men, generally when they're young, and we're pretty much the same at 40 when we were 10 years old, we often will compete with each other. And that competition is what makes us bond. Right?
Sure.
So the competition of like who has a bigger business, who owns more units, who's more successful. That's why men, when they get into mastermind groups, they're always sort of puffing their chests and talking about how great their business is. And they bond that way, right? Because they're kind of competing with each other, like who wants to build the bigger company. Same thing with employees inside of a business often. Sometimes the women they want to feel connected. They want to feel like they're part of a team. I find some of the men on my team are much more salespeople. They're more solopreneurs within our organization, wanting to do things on their own because they want to compete. They want to compete with themselves. They want to compete with other people. So sure. It's interesting to hear this analogy, for 10-year-olds and 11-year-olds and 12-year-olds, which is the kids I coach, and how I thought, man, a lot of my team that's, all adults, they're really not much different, right? So being connected to the team, is there anything else that you do within your organization besides mentoring them, letting them make mistakes, to keep your team feel like they're all connected, like there's glue there between the organization?
Interesting enough, we just took all of our property managers out to dinner last night. We went to Pier W. For those that aren't from Cleveland, it's a upscale restaurant. It's parked right over the Cliff Lake area. Really nice event. So it was a really nice event to bring everybody together, pay for dinner, just everybody have a chance. They have some better one-on-one time in a non-work setting. But and we're also doing the same thing for the remainder of our crews, just trying to keep them in our project managers and just make it a little bit smaller event. I think we'd fill the whole restaurant up if we brought everybody out. But I think another thing that's something that I value and I try to express to my team is appreciation. Thank you for what you've done. We appreciate your work. We appreciate your effort. I just think I've noticed it to be very discouraging in the past from my experiences, and plus other coworkers that I've had at the fire department, where you really put your effort and heart into a situation, and then you're just criticized or torn down because of the one mistake that was made when the other 99 things went well.
Right.
So I feel that that's a really big morale piece. And I've seen it many times when, going back in as my experience as a firefighter, when there was an incident, and that one incident took that employee and totally turned them completely negative against that administration or that job or that position, was just like, screw it.
Yeah.
And, there are times that, discipline is necessary for situations depending on what the event is, but how we relay that information, I think, has a great impact on what happens with the morale of that employee. When an employee gets their morale really kicked down, it's going to cost you so much in productivity. And you really don't know on what additional down the road damage that's going to be bringing to your organization. Are they going to be looking to take key members of your team to another company? Are they going to start looking for another job and start providing those other opportunities to their team members? It's just it's hard to quantify what that dollar amount is when you damage those relationships, and it's just something we try not to do.
Are you ready to automate and explode your real estate investing? We're searching for extremely motivated individuals who are sick and tired of wasting time and want to finally see real results from their real estate investing business. We're searching for investors looking to get to the next level and become a bigger, better version of themselves while being a more successful real estate investing entrepreneur. Apply for mentoring and coaching at joshcantwellcoaching.com/podcast. That's joshcantwellcoaching.com/podcast. Yeah, Jack, as you're mentioning that, for some reason, my mind was just floating off, and I was thinking about morale. I was thinking about when I was a senior in high school, I played football at Padua Franciscan High School, and the head coach, had a reputation of being, a very strict disciplinarian. Nobody liked to play for him. His name was Tom Cahuth.
Okay.
And a lot of people thought, man, he's really a jerk. He's very mean. He's a big disciplinarian. He's really tough to connect to. But for some reason, with my class going into my senior year, we did something called Success Camp, where we actually went to the school in August before double session started, and we actually slept over in the gym. So you imagine 80 boys sleeping over in the gym. We walked in when we were checking in. They had to check our bags. They had to make sure we didn't have any stuff to goof around with. They went through all of our stuff. They basically let us have a toothbrush, a small little bit of toothpaste, and a soap bar, and that was it. Everything else got confiscated, got taken away because they didn't want us monkeying around in the school. Sure. But what happened was, for basically that evening and the next morning, we talked about what goals we had as a team. We wanted to win our division. We wanted to win our conference. We wanted to compete for a state championship. Sure. We went through an exercise of coming up with a motto for the team. We went through an exercise of nominating team captains. We went through an exercise of, seniors mentoring sophomores, right? Because you knew the sophomores were coming in, and it was kind of like a big brother, little brother situation where the older kids, the juniors and seniors, would be assigned to a sophomore. And a lot of kids would mess around and sort of, not necessarily bully, but, we would joke around with the sophomores. But the sophomores felt look, the seniors care about us. They might be goofing around with us and cracking on us a little bit, but the sophomores felt connected. And sure. All of a sudden, when we started double sessions and got into that football season, I would have run through a brick wall for Coach Cahuth, right? Even though my brother, who played for Coach Cahuth 4 years prior, nobody in my brother's class could stand the guy. They thought he didn't care. They thought he ran practices too hard. They thought it was, he disciplined them with too much sprints and drills and all different kinds that just made them tired. For me and my class, we would have ran through a brick wall for this guy, right? Sure. So my question is, as a mentor, as a CEO, what are we doing to create an environment where our staff feels like they'll run through a brick wall for that guy?
Sure.
Right? What are we doing to create a bond, goals, a situation where the environment is so successful and everybody feels like they're making progress that they'll run through a wall for the organization. They'll work late. They'll stay up. They'll try new things. That's the difference, I think, between, for whatever reason, my brother's class with the same coach, 4 years prior. And then our class, I think the difference honestly was Success Camp, because Coach Cahuth wasn't any nicer to us, right? He wasn't he was still a jerk to us. He still made us run, 40-yard dashes and, laps around the gym and laps around the track. We still had to do all that stuff, but we felt like he cared about us. So we would run through a brick wall for the guy. Really an amazing analogy. So Jack, one of the things I wanted to talk to you about was balance, right? Now that you've been in this business, you've had times when you've had to sprint. You've had times when you've been able to take time off. You've had times when you've gone to Florida for a month in the middle of the winter. And you've had times when things were really shitty and times when things were really good. So after all these years of working together, me and you building your own businesses, what are some things you're doing right now leading into 2020 to not only grow your businesses, but have balance, to grow your businesses, but be an engaged father, to, grow your businesses, but be a connected husband? Are there any things you do on a daily, weekly basis to make sure that's part of your routine?
Absolutely. So that's an area of my life. There's always, it's an area of constant improvement. And I'm never going to say that I'm like there and dialed in, because it's an area that I still struggle with, to be perfectly honest. But, I have to say that one of the biggest things that's been helpful is just saying no more often and focusing. When we initially met years ago, we were involved in, I was a firefighter. We're building my wife's NP business. We were taking on another NP business, the My Care Clinic. We were doing some MLM stuff. We were doing a whole bunch of stuff and trying to cut the grass and everything else at the same time. And I think the biggest thing for me that's really has helped is just saying no, simplifying the schedule, focusing on one business, and just delegating those things that are things that I either don't want to do, I can't do, or I really shouldn't be doing. And it's been a really big help, is when I get too much on my plate personally, and I have to try to put 10 pounds in a 5-pound bag, which happens quite a bit. It's just how I'm wired. But it just takes my stress to the next level. That's when I'm noticing it's one of my triggers. I'm getting short. I'm getting impatient. It's just too much to do. And I still run like that, but I really have tried to make an effort to try to minimize and pull back on that and try to delegate what I can. And it's hard, but it's something that there's some things that I enjoy doing that I just had to let go.
Yeah. So, many of my friends that are successful and have heard this concept through lots of different seminars and podcasts, they kind of have a time in their day when they can feel like they can sprint, where they have a lot of energy. For some people, it's first thing in the morning. For some people, it's late at night, and they have a certain amount of energy that kind of is an opportunity that they don't want to spoil. So do you find within your day there's maybe a strategy or routine that works for you, whether it's working later into the evening when the kids are sleeping, whether it's getting up early, whether it's working out in the middle of the day? A lot of people have different daily routine hacks that work for them that help them keep an optimal amount of energy. And they have certain times in the day where they can focus better and other times in the day where they just don't have as much energy. How does that work for you?
Sure. For me personally, I would say afternoon and even going into the early evening is the time when I have more focus and more energy. It seems like for me personally, once I get up, that's when all the phone calls and everything hits, and it's just a lot of chaos at some points to get cleaned up with. And then once things are settling out, then it seems to be the time that I get to be able to have some more time. I got to say, another thing for me is we go down to Florida for 3 weeks in the fall and 3 weeks in the springtime. And for me, it's really critical to also have those times where I just completely separate from physically being at these properties that we're managing and running, to be able to have the time to think about what systems, process improvements, what staff members, what do we have to redeploy, what do we have to rehire, where do we have to reposition in order to kind of reset those goals and be able to just be away from everything. And we're buying a lot of apartments, and there's a lot of time and a lot of value of being at those job sites with my project managers, with our contractors, with our property managers, with our crews, just to see and identify the issues and kind of redirect things a bit. But there's also value to occasionally back away and just look at it from a higher level and have a different perspective on what's going on and where our time is being spent and utilized.
Yeah. That's awesome, man. So on a bigger scale, all of us have, I once listened to an amazing audio with a guy named Dr. Ned Hallowell. and he talked about, he's one of the world's foremost experts in ADD and ADHD. And he talked about, even for people with ADD and ADHD, we all have a morning burst. So for some people, it's in the evening. Like for you, you said it's in the afternoon, early evening. You have this burst, and that's some time you have to protect, not jumping into emails, not jumping into problems. Like if you have that burst, whether it's 2 or 3 hours, that needs to be when you're doing your optimal work, when you're focused on the highest and best use of your time. And I love the fact for you, Jack, the other thing I think that you've done, I don't know if you've done this on purpose or not, but when you go away for 3 weeks at a time, sure as shit, that month or 2 months before you leave, you're dialing things in, are you not? Like you're making sure that when you're going to be gone for 3 weeks, you're like, I got to make sure this gets done and this gets done and this gets dialed in, because on Tuesday, February 28th or whatever that day is, we are leaving, we're driving, we're going out of town, and you're kind of working up against that deadline. So how has having that deadline helped you stay focused?
Oh, it's been huge, because like I said, when you pull out for 3 weeks, like you're not there. Like if it's not done, it's not going to be ready. So it absolutely creates a sense of urgency. And to be more specific about that, we're closing a 123 unit property. It's a amazing deal. We've got 42 units that are vacant, and that revenue loss is about $39,000 a month. So you better believe right now we're setting our system, process, order sheets, flat rates, where's the dumpster going, and just building all those logistics out right now. So when I pull out of town, we're probably going to be closing down in Florida on the property, which would be cool. We've done that a few times. But that way my team has the direction, guidance, and some of the specifics, so we could just get moving and rolling at it. Some of those decisions that have to be made on my end. And I'm trying to get that cleared up. I'm trying to communicate. I'm trying to mentor the team to get geared up as far as what the vision is, what our direction is, so that as we're down there, we're just all on the same page on that.
Yeah. That's awesome, man. I love the idea of having those deadlines a couple times a year, maybe 4 times a year, just taking time off and getting away, and not just taking a day off. Because if you take a day off, you don't have to prepare for that. But if you take 3 weeks off, right, you got to prepare for that. Team's got to get ready. And frankly, my team even tells me sometimes when I'm gone for 3 weeks, they get even more done, because they know that there's specific sort of marching orders, specific goals while we're gone. We've gotten prepared. And then now they just know for the next 3 weeks, we've got to do this, this, and this. And because I'm a typical CEO entrepreneur, I'm always thinking of new things. Well, for those 3 weeks, I'm not thinking of anything new. I'm not distracting them with some new project or some new thing for them to work on. They can just execute what they're already good at. So a lot of benefits to taking time off in that way. So Jack, listen, we've got to wrap up. Thanks so much for hopping on the Accelerated Investor podcast. I know a lot of our audience will want to connect with you, maybe do deals with you, maybe become a private investor for you, maybe joint venture with you on a future deal, or just pick your brain about multifamily or how to have balance in your life. What's a good place for people to connect with you?
So my website is Petrick Property Group. Just my last name, Petrick, PetrickPropertyGroup.com. We're on Facebook too, if that's an easier way, instead of getting my email address out. But if someone has any questions or wants to connect, or any of the other action items you talked about, we'd love to connect. It's been an amazing journey. I'd say one of the biggest things that I'll never forget, when we were at one of your events, we were talking about having a W-2 income. And, I was making $70,000-ish a year. We had amazing healthcare benefits, had a pension, had a bunch of time off. It was a great career. And so oftentimes we look at that job like it's a life jacket, when in fact it's an anchor on their neck. And the amount of progress and growth that I've had in the last year and a half would have never been possible without making that switch. It took a lot of guts. It took a lot of decision making, and it wasn't always perfect clarity at the moment too, but it's just something that you said at one of your events that I never forgot about it. And then just when I was on the fence with that decision, I always would think back about that. And that was a really big piece as far as making that jump. But I absolutely am so thankful we did. I cannot imagine going another 20 years looking back to that decision point had I not made that decision.
That is awesome, Jack. Well, listen, man, I'm so grateful for our friendship, and grateful that our kids are great friends and our wives. You've really had a huge impact on my life as well, man. It's been a fun road, and I might even see you sometime this weekend. Maybe we'll be over at your house in a few hours or tomorrow. But thanks for taking a few moments this morning to share with our audience, man. I really appreciate it.
I appreciate it, guy. Thank you so much.
All right, brother. We'll talk to you soon.
Thank you.
You've been listening to Josh Cantwell and the Accelerated Investor Podcast. Leave a comment on our iTunes channel and let us know what you want to learn next or who you'd like Josh to interview. While you're there, give us a 5-star rating and make sure to subscribe so you can be the first to hear new episodes. Follow Josh Cantwell and his companies, Strategic Real Estate Coach and Freeland Ventures, on all social media platforms now, and stay up to date on new training and investment opportunities. To start your journey toward the lifestyle you've always dreamed of, apply for coaching at joshcantwellcoaching.com.